And I'm a lawyer by training, so I can't possibly, I'm incapable of stopping talking. I once had a Supreme Court judge say, "Mr. Kimball, sit down and shut up. You've won, now just, I have a tea time." So, there's a reason I don't practice law anymore. We'll work the way across the room. Ken, leave you last. Yes, ma'am.
What's the Condon report?
The Condon report, the United States Air Force in the mid-1960s was thoroughly, they wanted out of the UFO business. They wanted to wash their hands publicly of any investigatory role into UFOs, meaning they wanted to ditch Project Blue Book.
But they were prior investigations?
Yes. The Air Force was the military organization that was officially tasked with investigating UFO sightings and compiling data. The truth is they didn't do very good investigations. They usually only had 4 or 5 guys assigned to the staff, but at least they were doing something. And the Air Force said, "We want nothing more to do with this, but we have to find some sort of veneer of respectability that will allow us to back out and point to someone else and say, well, they told us there's nothing to it, so why would we waste any more money on this?" And Dr. Condon, who really is one of the preeminent American scientists of the 20th century, it's a shame that this kind of blotted his legacy, was a very good scientist, was put in charge. Condon was on record as being not just a debunker, but an absolute disbeliever in UFO reports. You can actually buy the Condon Committee report. It's like the Kennedy assassination report. It's about 800 pages long. All the data's in there, much of it contradicting what Condon's final conclusion was. And so eventually the report was released. At the time, a lot of people forget this, to large-scale ridicule by the scientific community, including people like Carl Sagan. The Air Force said, done. Dr. Condon's investigated it, we're out. Closed Blue Book down within a year. And then the spin machine started, the PR machine, which began to portray the Condon report as the final official word on the UFO phenomenon. And it was very successful. For 40 years, that's what science and the media and politicians have looked at. And it is, to my mind, the single most important event in the history of the UFO phenomenon, in the study of it, is that report and the impact it had on people who took UFOs seriously and on how society at large views what UFOs may or may not be. And it's had a chilling effect on the serious study of UFOs. And as I said, if you can actually get people, though, and talk to them about good cases, and explain to them what the Condon report was and why it was unscientific and why it flew in the face of its own data, then people will listen to you. And I think the mistake that ufology has made for 30 years has been they threw up their hands, said there's a vast conspiracy, the Condon report's part of it, we know what we know, and we don't care anymore. And so they said, we're going to go over here and pursue our own course, and as a result, they've marginalized themselves to a large degree. The government's to blame, but so are ufologists, in equal measure. Because there are people like me that say, I don't know if aliens are visiting Earth or extra dimensionals or time travelers. I just know there's something worth studying.